Still Poddable, still Poddable. Boston Celtics, still Poddable, still Poddable. Oh yeah! Still Poddable, still Poddable. Boston Celtics, still Poddable, still Poddable. Banana
Beat Rob, Jim, Pekka, Jake King.
Still Poddable, still Poddable.
The Caesar on the court to get another ring.
Still Poddable, still Poddable.
Everybody in the chat now sing.
Still Poddable, still Poddable. Still Poddable, still Poddable. Boston Celtics, still Poddable, still Poddable. Oh yeah! Shut your ass up, man.
You guys always have been here.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Still Poddable. I am Brian Robb from Massline Live, joined by the great Jay King of The Athletic. We are recording this on Thursday after a pretty thorough beatdown, 131-95 to put it kindly, of the Memphis Grizzlies. Before we get to that, we'll let you guys know here you're listening to a free edition of the Still Poddable podcast, which is on the CLNS Media Network and YouTube. And this show is brought to you by Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. If you like what you're hearing here, you can check us out a couple times a week with free shows on Spotify, Apple, and the CLNS Celtics YouTube page. If you want to get Still Poddable every single day, please head to patreon.com/stillpoddable. Get shows for myself, Jay, Jam Packard, behind the scenes stuff, film breakdowns, mailbags, guests, you name it. Definitely check it out and join us there. Jay, we are at the 13-game mile marker.
Crazy how quickly it goes in the NBA. It feels like the season just started and 13 games have passed.
They've played a lot of games here, maybe more than any team in the league so far.
The Grizzlies have played 13 as well. I don't know if anyone's played more than that.
Yeah. It's welcome 3 days off here. But first things first, a lot of good things happened on Wednesday night.
They're the only team in the East with 13 games played so far.
There you go.
Schedule has been hectic. Poor Hugo Gonzalez. He was just used to playing like 1 or 2 games a week, chilling in between, getting time to rest his body. Not anymore, buddy. You sprain your ankle one night, you're playing again the next.
Get back out there, 24 hours. Yeah, but the Celtics are sitting here at 6-7, and some pretty encouraging developments throughout this week, but particularly out of a Wednesday night here. And I know you want to start for a nice breakout game for Payton Pritchard after a slow shooting start to the year, 24 points, 9 assists, 5 of 10 from 3. But it was what he said after the game last night that kind of stood out to you.
Yeah, because this is Payton Pritchard. Like, he plays boldly. He's not shy. He trusts his work. He trusts himself. And after erupting against the Grizzlies, he said basically that he was overthinking, that his friends, people that are close to him, were telling him he didn't look like himself. He didn't feel like himself. He said he even cut his hair, even though his wife doesn't like the short hair, because he just wanted to get back to his old mentality, which is hilarious move. I love that move, by the way. So funny. Like, yeah. Whatever you think doesn't matter because I need to get buckets. And I just thought it was eye-opening from Pritchard, and I think it speaks to the bigger adjustment that some of these guys have, like Payton Pritchard, Derek White. Before, you could play off of everybody else. You could ease into the game. The Celtics would be just fine when you went 3 for 7 or 2 for 7 and had a very quiet night. It doesn't work that way anymore. There's more pressure on these guys. There's more defensive attention on these guys, and they're all getting used to that. And I thought it was a good first step. Obviously, Grizzlies did not look great. That was a sorry-ass Grizzlies effort. A sorry-ass effort. They got lit up by their coach after the game. And but, like, you look at the numbers right now, the Celtics are up to 9th in offensive rating, even though they've shot 33.5% from three. Even though Payton Pritchard has shot like crap, Derek White has shot like crap, Anthony Simons for much of the season has been pretty quiet. They've been trying to get him to come out of his shell. I just think there's a lot to like so far from this early sample of games. It can look ugly at times, and they're definitely not as dynamic as they used to be. But the underlying numbers combined with the fact that they just haven't had good shooting yet, I think when they do shoot the ball well, this could be a pretty good offense. And I doubted that this could be a pretty good offense.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, again, it's pretty much just everything outside of the record, Jay. I think maybe like not best case scenario, but as promising as you could hope for through the first few weeks of the season, given the schedule has been hellacious in terms of just sheer volume. And then they've had a couple stinkers in there, but they've pretty much been in every game by and large, outside of, like they've given up some massive runs in where that, like the Knicks game,
The 42-10
Rockets
quarter against the Knicks.
Yeah, the Rockets, and like the Rockets, I feel like that's like in its own category. But beyond that, like they've been there and putting up a fight every night. And like you said, and they've been doing it where random, like they've gotten something from pretty much everyone on their bench at points in the top, like especially out of the wings. And so when you're at this level here, when you're 6 and 7, and Derek White and Payton Pritchard have played like this to this point, like you have to feel good about where you are in the big picture, since this is a group still trying to, find itself on a nightly basis. And it seems like they're a lot closer than I thought they'd be, a month into establishing an identity on that front.
Yeah, and they're really like crunch time execution away from being 7 and 6, 8 and 5. They are 2 and 5 in crunch time games. 2 and 5. They are 1 and 3 in games decided by one possession. In 2 of those games, they gave up pretty sizable fourth quarter leads, both times against the 76ers. They are like close to having a pretty good start that you'd feel pretty comfortable about. It's just you have to get up to speed in close games. And because this team is not great, because they're not going to have the blowouts that they used to have, they're going to be in close games. And that is where I feel like the inexperience has shown up, where it's mattered the most that they're relying on guys that just never played these roles before. Like Pritchard a lot of the time was not on the court during crunch time before.
Yeah.
And now he's one of your go-to guys during those moments a lot of the time. Nimi was a fourth string center. Now you need him on that court. You need him out there. And not only that, but it's like you used to be able to rely on Jason Tatum, all the gravity that he had, all the defensive attention he brought to free up everybody else, to make everybody else's job easier. You don't have that anymore. And so I feel like there have been a lot of growth moments, or just poor execution, however you want to look at it, glass half full or glass half empty, in those close games. But for the most part, like this has been a team that forces a lot of turnovers, that does a much better job on the glass than it used to, that is creating extra possessions in totally different ways than it used to, and still takes care of the ball, which has been a huge, huge part of the relative success so far, is that, even without Tatum, even without so many veterans, even while playing so many young guys who have never really played before, they've been able to keep that turnover rate really low. And that goes to Derek White, that goes to Payton Pritchard. Those guys are just as sure with the ball as you can get.
Yeah, you mentioned the rebounding there. I think that's kind of a sneaky big development in the last couple weeks there, just how much they've righted the ship on that front, outside of Jaylen Brown's missed box out at the end of the Sixers game. But they're up to 25th in the league, Jay. And I remember I was talking 2 weeks ago.
25th in
25th
what?
In defensive rebounding rate.
28th in the stats that I'm looking at.
All right, I'm on Basketball Reference at 25th. So probably there's slim. They're close. They're they're at 71.1% there. So it's NBA.com and Basketball Reference uses some different accounting tools, but they're certainly a lot better than where they were a couple weeks ago in this area. And a part of that I feel like has been, I mean, Minot and now I think Jordan Walsh in the starting five have kind of solidified that group a little bit on the defensive glass, and just has been, I don't know, like is it everyone else kind of holding their own on that front? Like where have you kind of seen them make improvements there? Where they're not good, but they're not getting destroyed by teams anymore. It seems like it was the case for the first week of the season.
Yeah, and if you throw out the first 3 games of the year when they were by far worst in the league, they're 16th. They're a respectable 16th in defensive rebound rate since then. I think part of that is, going to more athleticism in the starting group. Really more athleticism throughout the game. Like Josh Minot, even though he's been kind of up and down in the rotation lately, he gives you a lot of length. Jordan Walsh does too. They give you like just athletic attributes that Sam Hauser just doesn't. And now they're playing, I feel like they're just always playing 2 wings together off the bench. Like you always have Ugo and Jordan Walsh or Ugo and Josh Minot. Like somehow you have 2 athletic wings out there. And that's important. Like they just needed more size, more athleticism, more length. And then I think it just being such a focus has been important too. Like it was very clear after those first 3 games that if they didn't fix the rebounding, they were going to cost themselves time after time after time after time after time. And granted, they've since then, they've given up 2 offensive rebound putbacks to cost themselves a game. But for the most part, they've done a halfway respectable job, which is a pretty big deal for this team. And I think like Luka Garza is so funny because he's a great elite offensive rebounder, but defensive rebounding is just a bigger challenge for him. But I feel like he's done a better job lately of holding his own on the defensive glass. And I haven't checked the numbers with him on the court lately, but I feel like him playing more minutes and being out there has helped a little bit too.
Yeah, everyone's just feel like across the board has stepped up a little bit. I've honestly been surprised. Like Jordan Walsh's rebounding to me has been, as you know, everyone's focusing on his defense, which has been stellar as well over the last week or so. But I think he's got like 6 rebounds now in all 5 of these games where he's played regular minutes. And so particularly on defensive glass, it seems like he just has a nose for the ball and like I said, the athleticism has always been there for him, but that's an area where he's leaning into more now. And I don't like we know he had his first start on Wednesday night here. Like, is this the start of something like it was with Minot? Like, how do you think Joe eventually wants to get to a steady group there? Like knowing that there is probably going to have to be some churn with the young wings just because they're all fighting for consistency. But it seems like Walsh is the next man up here until maybe further notice here.
Until next game when Joe decides to yank him.
No, like Minot had 7 games though, right? Like Minot had a solid little stretch here and was kind of like dethroned with just Walsh is playing so well, where it's like, all right, it's Walsh's turn. Yeah,
and I felt like for Minot that kind of got in his head a little bit, getting put to the second unit, and you saw like he almost instantly, like he got in the game against Memphis and fouled a shooter almost instantly, and Joe was furious on the sideline. Later in the game, Minot had a chance in transition, just kind of bobbled it out of bounds. It felt like he wasn't playing with the sureness in himself that he had earlier in the season, and I think that's part of it. I think Joe knows that guys will go through that and wants to see them honestly tested by challenges like that. So he's got to figure that out. I thought he did a good job the rest of the game settling in. He had a great putback dunk. But yeah, right now it's Walsh. Next week it could be Ugo. The week after that it could be Minot. Shireman might get a chance. I think you're just going to see Joe kind of ride the hot hand and whoever's playing the best. Because honestly, these guys all have to be great at the energy stuff. They have to be great defensively. They have to be great on the glass, because they're not going to give you a whole lot of scoring, of playmaking. Like, none of them are. And so it really comes down to, can you commit to that dirty work all the time? And that's a hard thing to do. Jordan Walsh has done it really well lately. Minot has done it in moments too. But yeah, it's that said, like, from a wider perspective, I think it's been really promising for the Celtics over these first 13 games to get like 3 guys who look like they can help you long term. Minot, Walsh, and Ugo. And I don't know if I would have had real faith in any of those guys at the start of the season. And now they've all done good things. They all look like they're going to be rotation guys in this league at the bare minimum. So that's huge. And when Jason Tatum gets back and you have Tatum, Brown, Hauser, Minot, Walsh, Ugo, like, that is a deep crop of wings, and very athletic. I think as those guys kind of grow into their skills, grow into their offensive abilities, then they're going to have some really versatile lineups that Joe will probably have a lot of fun tinkering with, and other teams will not have a lot of fun playing against.
Yeah, let's get more into like the future implications of this on those wings in a second here. But first, want to talk about our sponsor, Prize Picks. This episode's brought to you by them. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this basketball season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. You know, on Prize Picks right now, you can plenty of fun options any night of the week. You can choose from anyone, from Durant to Luka to Steph Curry, day to day, week to week. So check the app there for the latest squares and some of the player callouts on that front. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you get your picks right, you cash in. And one thing that's always nice about Prize Picks is it offers injury reboots. So if one of your players leaves the game in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks won't count it as a loss. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Yeah, going back to the wings, Jay, it's a fascinating, like, I thought you'd be rotating through these guys for like, just because no one's stepping up. Now it's like been the opposite of that this year. So when you look at that with the developments from like Luka Garza coming back to life here in the last week of hitting the glass hard and obviously finishing much better, huge game against Orlando, nice game against the Grizzlies too. It's almost like everyone has had their moments on the bench now. The one guy who has just been in a slump, or the guys that are slumping on this team, are the proven guys. And so that's almost like you have the faith that the Sam Hausers and the Derek White and the Pritchards are going to bounce back. So it's like, from a long-term trajectory of what you want out of this team this year, like, the signs are promising out of the gate on the new additions.
And obviously, like, what happens now matters, right? Like, it matters to Joe Mazzulla. It certainly matters to Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Payton Pritchard. It matters. But I think because Tatum's out, because this year, you know, you don't look like a contender. And even if Tatum does come back, like, he's probably not going to be ready to help you win a championship. Like, the biggest thing was finding pieces to help. And I would add Keita to that. Like,
Yep.
Garza has looked competent the last couple of games. And then the most important thing, though, to me is just the young wings. Because those guys, like, it can be really tough to find 6'7" athletic guys who can guard multiple positions and get after it and know, at least to some extent, what they're doing out there. And the Celtics have found 3 of them. I'm not going to put Shireman into that group yet, but I'm starting to be confident that Jordan Walsh, Ugo Gonzalez, and Josh Minot will all be players in this league. And that just seems like a huge thing for this team. And it's going to be something that allows them flexibility in team building, that it just will allow Joe plenty of flexibility, and especially if when Tatum gets back, you still want to play this style of defense, this faster pace, this get up and force turnovers and get out in transition style. Those are the guys to do it. Those are the types of guys you need to play that style. And I just think, like, as frustrating as some of the losses have been in this early season, the stuff underneath the surface with the young guys is just super, super important. Could not be more important. And they're getting so much great experience. Jordan Walsh, if they kept the same roster from last year or close to it, he's not playing crunch time against Tyrese Maxey. He's not guarding Tyrese Maxey down the stretch. Everything is on his shoulders. He has to get stops. It's just not happening. But now he has to be locked into that game plan. He has to be dialed in. And, one game he hits the big three against Orlando. The next, he's, blanketing Tyrese Maxey during some important possessions. I just think it's going to speed up the process of development for all these guys, that they're getting all these opportunities with Jason Tatum out. And then when he gets back, they're going to have a lot of options, just a lot of options around him.
And life gets a lot easier for those guys in terms of with offensively, at least. And certainly for Tatum, like taking some of the onus off of him from wings. I also think, Jay, like if you just look at like how quickly can you turn this thing around and contend full steam ahead next season when Tatum is assumingly back at 100%, like it makes it much more realistic to do with this core if these guys are hitting. If you have multiple of these guys that are hitting to a level where you could see them soaking up some bench minutes. I feel like if the wing position is covered with youth and like cost controlled youth, then that opens up the door for the front office to be like, okay, we can really go after a center here, or we can go after other holes we need to fill. Also, while knowing that Nimi is playing well enough where it's like, I think he could be more than a bench center on a good team. Like, could he be your 20-minute a night center? Like, not closing games, but could he start for this team next year on a good team?
I think you look to upgrade.
You look to upgrade, but it's a real.
If you have to start him, you don't feel like terrible about it. You don't have a pit in your stomach about it.
Right. There's a chance where that could work. Like there's the way how he's progressed makes it, and the upside he still has to hit there. Is it going to work? Not necessarily. Is he going to get all the way there? We don't know yet, but there is a vision for that. And yeah, like without a doubt, they're going to have to get another legit big in here. I assume at some point in the next 12 months. But as far as what you brought onto this team right now, like if none of these guys hit, it was just hard to foresee a way of this team like actually contending with this roster in place, given their limitations and stuff like that. But now you can kind of start to see the vision of that.
Yeah. And it will, like you said, just make things easier for the front office if instead of having to get wing depth and a center and two centers, now you just need one center. Now you might not need any wings at all, especially if Ugo and Jordan Walsh and Josh Minott, they're all super young. Like Ugo is 19, Jordan Walsh is 21, Josh Minott is 22. These guys are super, super young, and they're only beginning to scratch the surface of whatever they'll become. And it's just promising to me. And also, they're all competitors. Like, they all care about winning. They all are willing to defend and hit the glass and play roles. That's really important too. And like, I've been really impressed. It's funny because I often hate when people say stuff like this, but like Josh Minott gets benched, and for Jordan Walsh, Ugo Gonzalez, he's competing for minutes with those guys. And when Jordan Walsh hits the three, Ugo's the first one. When guys are succeeding, Minott, when he's been benched, he's the first one up. He's as happy as could be for these guys. And when you're a young guy, that can be tough to grasp. That mentality of, okay, this is really about the team, and no matter what's going on with me, I care first and foremost about the team. But it feels like all those guys care about that stuff first. And so I really think like the young guys, and granted, like they have to learn how to play offense. They have to learn how to shoot. They have to learn how to do more stuff, or else, those limitations will matter down the road when you are trying to contend. But I've been really impressed by just their ability to compete and help you be competitive in their minutes. And I think Joe's kind of done a crazy job of managing it all. Like he's throwing guys in, taking them out, yanking them, screaming at them. But it seems like he just wants to throw them in the fire and see what happens. See who comes out as sharp and steel. And right now, Jordan Walsh is leading that. But I think all those guys have had their moments, and Brad Stevens did good work with Ugo, and it's looking like Jordan Walsh might be a find in the second round, and Josh Minot was definitely a find, even though he hasn't played too much the last couple of games. Like when you get somebody for 2 years with a team option on the second, that's good work because he's playing minutes and he's playing helpful minutes already.
Yeah, I wonder like pull up the 2025 NBA draft right now. If and we can't really make any serious judgments this early in the season, but like if they do this, there's at least 5 to 10 guys at minimum right now. I feel would easily trade places and wish they had Ugo on the roster. Just based on what he's shown.
Oh, the redraft in November redraft.
Maybe we'll just do a monthly redraft just to just go down
where
the list
Ugo
here.
would have gone.
I mean, maybe like every single Brooklyn pick. Is that too early to go that far?
Speaking of Brooklyn, this is going to be a tangent, but it's incredible that they drafted 5 guys in the first round. They don't have anyone worth building around that's a veteran. And these guys are still in the G League?
Right.
Just throw them in the NBA. Why are you throwing them in the G League? What are you doing? What are you doing? Are they that bad where you cannot throw them in the NBA game, even though you're getting bludgeoned every single night? Like, it is baffling to me that they're not just throwing those guys into NBA competition, because the veteran options are no good. They're not helping you at all. Might as well throw all those guys out there and see what happens.
It's scary. It's scary either way. Either they're that bad where you can't even throw them on an NBA game yet, or they're trying to sell off their veterans and they need to give those guys up. But like I said, none of those guys are building any value because that team is probably one of the worst defensive teams in history right now. So, good God. But regardless, the Celtics got a good one, it looks like, at number 28, while the Nets and many other teams are spending their draft capital elsewhere. And that was, I don't know. Doesn't look like any real misses right now. I guess when you're signing minimums, like you can't really miss too hard anyway. But regardless, like you had only a certain amount of roster spots here, and the Celtics finding young guys that are showing promise with those options, as well as drafting Ugo at number 28 there. Like it's a pretty promising start of a year of development for this team, while also still being in the mix in the Eastern Conference, guy. Like their expected win-loss record on Basketball Reference is 8-5 right now, and obviously the crunch time stuff bears that out. But the schedule has been pretty tough, Jay. So if they kind of
flip
clean that
side
stuff up,
they've been perfectly healthy so far.
That is fair,
and they're 6-7 so far. What happens when Jalen misses time? What happens when Derek White's not out there, or Payton Pritchard? I think that's when the holes on this roster really show up. But for now, yeah, they probably should be better than 6-7. They've had, travel-wise at least, a tough schedule. They've had 2 road home back-to-backs already. They had a 5-game and 7-night stretch. Jalen was dealing with a hamstring issue at first, and they should at least be 1 or 2 games better than they are. Or they very easily could at least be 1 or 2 games better than they are. And if they were 8-5 right now, be like, you know what? That's a very good start. But instead, they missed a lot of shots. They floundered in crunch time, and here they are at 6-7. But they still have a lot of games left against like the trash bags in the East. So that'll help too. Haven't
To the
played
next three.
any of the trash bags except the Wizards.
That's right. And they'll be.
I guess the Jazz are trash bags, but they're Western Conference trash bags.
Memphis might be the biggest trash bag of all.
Memphis is a sorry team. That is a sorry team. Just truly sorry. Watching them was just like, they are not trying at all. And the guys they played, they had 6 rotation guys injured, including several ball handlers. You have to be, if you're a fringe guy in the league, why are you not competing your ass off? Why are you sitting there watching Sam Hauser and Payton Pritchard step into wide open jumpers? It was an abomination, that effort by the Grizzlies. And granted, they had nobody. They were on the second leg of a back-to-back. Celtics were on the second leg of a back-to-back too. But man, that was not promising from the Memphis Grizzlies. They are in shambles right now.
And for all the talk about how bad the East is, you look at the bottom of the West, you have like this team, you've got the Jazz, you've got the Kings, who are already falling apart. The Mavericks.
You can't fall apart if you were never together.
I mean, they're never together to begin with, but it's like, yeah, I can't believe Westbrook starting next to DeRozan and Zach LaVine. That's not working. What?
Crazy. It worked so well in Chicago.
And then the Pelicans and the Clippers are 3-8 too. It's like, it's obviously the Thunder and the Nuggets are on a different level than the rest of the league. But beyond that, like, there'll probably be more crappy teams at the bottom.
I would put the Rockets up there too.
I think they're right. Yeah, I guess that
if the Rockets were in the East, they would be the clear favorite, I think.
That's true. There's no right. Like, there's 3 teams. I feel like those are the top tier contenders. But then, you mix in like the Cavs and Knicks, the fact that the Celtics are 2.5 games behind the 2 seed in the East right now, still, despite all this there. But they don't look like they're on a different tier from the mid-tier Western Conference teams, which is pretty promising at the least.
Pretty promising. Oh, Grant, you want to come on the show, bro? Let's add him on here. Grant, you got anything for us, or are you just here to listen?
What's up, gentlemen?
What up, baby?
What's going on?
Coming from you live from the Detroit airports. I'm here to go to the Penn State-Michigan State football game, and it is a poo-poo platter game.
Yeah, those are 2 garbage teams. Did you go to one of those schools?
Yeah, I went to Penn State.
Okay.
And my friends and I always do an away trip, and we picked Michigan State this year. So,
was there a reason why you didn't pick a better team?
We're trying to do all the Big Ten schools, and we just try to knock this off the list.
Hey, they might win because Michigan State is a trash bag program. Maybe your own trash bag program will get a win.
Yeah, I'm hoping so, because it has been a brutal year.
Yeah, when you booked that, you were probably like, this is going to be awesome. They'll be nearing the college football playoffs. James Franklin, I love that guy. And not exactly how it worked out.
Yeah, we're bringing up a lot of open wounds right now. But at least I have the Celtics, so can't complain.
At least you have the 6-7 Celtics, baby.
Yeah, I did want to say that even though I know there's a lot of this fan base that are hoping for a tank, because the middling, especially in this era of the NBA, where if you're just a middle of the pack franchise for a year, it's often seen as just like a lost hope. Because look at the Raptors, the Hawks, a lot of those teams, and that a lot of Celtics fans are hoping for a tank. I just think the East is just so bad that they're going to be a 500 team. And is that where you would expect them to be by the end of the year?
Pretty much, as long as they say moderately healthy. I would guess somewhere around 500, give or take a few games.
because they were one Jaylen Brown injury away from being like pretty bad. Not the
It could get
Nets.
bleak. I think a Derek injury, even a Payton injury, would be like, oh,
Yeah.
what do they do at backup point guard when?
Or what about
Well, what do
Nemi?
they
What if Nemi goes
What about
down?
Nemi?
What if Nemi goes down? You
That-
can't have a Nemi injury.
Right.
Yeah,
Although
30
I
minutes
think
of Luka
Amari
Garza.
Williams might be pretty good.
Yeah, that would hopefully they don't have to. But the good news for the injury, like everyone's playing like 30, 31 minutes a game right now, so they're at least like managing these guys. So the wear and tear of an NBA, like Derek White's super durable, Payton Pritchard's a Super Bowl durable player. Jalen obviously has moments, but is a very durable superstar in a whole. So like if you can kind of do both, like and the bench has been good enough where you can win games enough here and there and not have to run these guys in the ground like that. That's probably as encouraging a thing about these first 13 games. Like they've been able to do that where there's a couple nights where the bench is lifted up the starters as opposed to the other way around.
Right.
It's remarkable
And,
that Derek White is shooting 35%,
Yeah.
by the way.
Like I would thought to be 5 and 8 right now if he's going like that.
after
I
watching
mean,
his
that's one
preseason-
game difference.
I was gonna say 5 and 10 right now. That was terrible. I was like wait a sec. It did math in my head. I'm like, wait a sec. They could be 5.5 and 7.5 now. They could be. I'd say 3 and 10 right now would be a more apt response for that.
After watching Derek White in the preseason, I would have thought he would have more free throw attempts per game, because I thought he was getting to the line a good amount. But that's I don't know his numbers for this year, but I just would have thought he would be averaging at least 7 attempts per game with driving to the basket. But I don't think it's anywhere near that.
I think he and Pritchard are both in their heads a little bit. Maybe Pritchard got out of his head. Maybe Derek White is in the process of getting out of his head as well. But it feels
He's shooting
like
75% at the rim. Payton.
yeah, he inside the arc. He's been, as
If he
Packard
was
likes to
6'5",
say,
he'd be
a
an
2-point
all-NBA
daddy.
player.
He's been a pure 2-point daddy. But have a great trip. Good luck to Penn
Thanks, man.
State.
Thank you. That's
Real
really needed.
real garbage program, but maybe one day they'll come back to life.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Catch you.
Enjoy,
have fun.
Grant. Josh B, our next
Wow.
Guess.
Back-to-back legends.
What up, Josh? How are you?
I'm overjoyed with this Celtics season. I'm going the exact opposite way of B-Rob. I think we could be 7-6 if we had just held the Philadelphia 76ers to be to 100 points or fewer. If we had held them to 99 points, then we'd be 7-6. I go the other way from you guys. Pretty much on this entire take. I think that if Derek White goes down, that we're going to get, 35 points in 8 minutes from Anthony Simons, the way he's shooting. If Payton Pritchard, ever discovers his three, and I have every reason to believe that he's going to, shoot more consistently. I've got how many years of evidence of him learning to shoot, being a knockdown 3-point shooter. Same thing with Derek White. I know he's shooting 35%. He's going to shoot better. This is 13 games. And just very quickly to Grant's point, my want, or at least what I hear from Celtics fans, is I think we want to be the 10 seed and send Joe Mazzulla on a hunting trip, tell him the wrong location for that play-in game, and do what the last 3 drafts have done and get the number 1 pick. I mean, the Atlanta Hawks were the 10 seed just 2 years ago. They got the number 1 pick. The Dallas Mavericks were the 10 seed just last year. They got the number 1 pick. I don't know why the Celtics can't do the same thing. In fact, while I'm on the topic, I think that's a very reasonable conspiracy theory for Adam Silver to fly in and talk to Bill Chisholm and say, look, just do this, and then we'll be good. And A.G. DeBonsa, right down the street. If you want to root for a good college player, want to root for a good college team, right down the street, get A.J. I'm thrilled with this Celtics team. I'm overjoyed. In my darkest time, in my darkest hour, worrying about Jason Tatum, worrying about my mom, every time Hugo takes the floor, every time Josh Minot decides that he wants to bury a 3, this is over. This is so much energy, so much effort, and justifies everything that we believe, or at least I believe, as a Celtics fan, in terms of Joe Mazzulla. My big fear going into this year was, would Neemias Queta develop? Would we just get destroyed in the rebounding? What's happened? They've
They are
developed Neemias
28
Queta.
in defensive rebound rate.
I mean, that's true. Also, Jordan
16th
Walsh.
over the last 10 games, though.
Yeah. So, stay positive. Stay positive. Be happy. I think this is great. My question, though, is where has this Jordan Walsh been all my life? And am I in danger of falling in love with Jordan Walsh and then seeing him just fade into oblivion as he works on things that I don't really care about, like, say, I don't know, Baylor Shireman of last year?
That's a good question. I think Jordan Walsh is here to stay. I don't know whether that means he's going to stay in the starting lineup, play 10 minutes off the bench. Joe has made it very clear that if any of these guys take a step back from an effort or focus, discipline standpoint, they're coming out, and he's going to go to somebody else. But where's he been all your life? He averaged 7.2 points per game in college. Like, he was never going to come right into the NBA and make an impact. He was very young, still only 21. That shows you how young he was when he first entered the league. He needed to get a little stronger, a little more physical, but all the tools, like you could see even in the college tape, he moves his feet really well. He's got incredibly long arms. He keeps people in front of him. He can be disruptive. He's tough. And now it's all coming to fruition at the NBA level, and he's starting to fill the role that you kind of envisioned for him a couple years ago. But it takes time. It takes time, and especially like a guy whose offensive game was as flawed as his, it's taken a lot of time. And I think he needed to develop mentally, physically, everything to become the guy that he is right now.
Yeah, as Grant points out in the chat here, like he's always they drafted him for his defense, obviously. And even that, like he had chances in the first couple of years, but just, the role on that team versus like the opportunity he has in this team is just night and day in terms of what he's being handed. And to be honest, Jay, like you look at he hasn't had a bad game yet this season when he's been given like real minutes. Like he's had a stint here and there where he got pulled quick early on, but when he's been up at 15, 20 minutes per game, I'd say like I think there's like 6 games he's played at that level. Like they've all been solid games at the minimum.
He's been consistent, and that consistency is tough to build. Yeah, like you said, another reason why the last couple of years didn't go too well for him is like he was playing behind all-stars, like everywhere. All-stars were everywhere. Former all-stars in some cases, but like you're just not going to break into that rotation. Nobody was going to break into that rotation, especially a young, flawed, raw guy who averaged 7 points per game in college. But now he's on the rise.
And he's on the rise, still 21 years old. And yeah, as much as probably top of lists amongst many things to be excited about right now. If you're a C's fan, 13 games through this year. You got anything else, Jay?
I got nothing, baby.
All right. Thanks to everyone here for listening to this free edition of
I do have one more thing.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
never mind.
I'm sorry. I love the Morris twins being like we would kick the Jokic brothers' ass.
That needs to happen. Someone needs to pay enough to make that happen.
It needs to happen. I don't know who would win, but I would love. Those are some tough dudes on both sides of that thing. But I love the Morris brothers. What do they have, a podcast now?
Yeah, they've got
Morris Code. Is that what it's called?
Great
Great name.
That's just genius name.
Great name. And they're just out trying to fight the Jokic brothers. I love it. All in favor. All in favor of podcast beef.
Bring it on. All right, that'll do it for us for today. For Jay King the Athletic, myself, Brian Robb, Masslight. Thanks for checking us out. If you want to check out more Still Poddable, you can get us a couple times a week on the CLNS YouTube. If you want to check us out every single day of the week, Monday through Friday, head out to patreon.com/stillpoddable. Join us there. Great stuff in game in the chat. Behind the scenes coverage for myself and Jay. Monthly mailbag. So much stuff to get there throughout this season. We'll get you covered. So check us out. Thanks for Prize Picks for sponsoring this episode on CLNS. And we will talk to you guys after the Clippers game on Sunday.
Still Poddable, still Poddable. Boston, still Poddable.